BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
It smells like a combination of smoked cured sausage, sour pickles and delicious smelling teas. I'm in Stoke Newington and I've come to my local Polski Sklep or Polish shop. They are all over the country. There's probably one close to where you live. And in this programme, we're going to find out more about them. We'll be returning to my local Polish shop later in the episode to find some very specific ingredients for a much-loved Polish food staple. But right now, I'm heading to another city entirely. Over a decade ago, when I was just 21, I spent a year living in Peterborough in East Anglia on a work placement. One of my strongest memories of the city was the presence of a vibrant Polish community. What interests me now is how these small Polish food shops tell a deeper story about migration, community and cultural identity. I'm curious to see how the legacy of that community in Peterborough continues to shape the city. So, for the first time in over a decade, I'm heading back to my old haunts in Peterborough. I'm on Lincoln Road in Peterborough on a busy high street, and there are shops here from all over the world. There's an international food centre, there's a Nigerian shop, a Pakistani shop, Desi Karahi, and quite prominently on this busy high street is a supermarket, and it's called Europol, and we're going to go in and have a look. From the outside, Europol looks like your standard local food shop. Giant images of tomatoes adorn the exterior. But I know that inside there'll be many unfamiliar and intriguing items, and I certainly don't want to miss out. So first of all, I'm introduced to shop assistant Maria. And how long has the shop been going, do you know?
7 years.
And how long have you worked it?
Almost 2 years.
So you'll know the clientele quite well.
Like the customers?
The customers,
Oh, we have a special relationship. Any customer that comes, we are very, very welcoming in this shop.
What's the customer like? So is it majority Polish people, or do you get a wide range of people coming?
It's a Polish shop, but we have all cultures. We have loads of Polish, Czech, Slovakians, Albanians. We have loads of people coming. Any customer that comes, we are very, very welcoming in this shop.
The manager, Monica, joins us.
Yeah, they're coming as well, yeah. They want to try even, different foods as well. They coming, they buying meat, sausage. They asking as well what is nice.
Some British people, I think, would probably be a little bit maybe intimidated.
About the welcome.
Yeah,
I understand.
about the potential welcome.
All I can say, if an English person comes here, it's like, when you go on a holiday and there's so many new stuff and your eyes goes everywhere and you're like, oh my God, I want to try this. Oh my God, this is something new. I know British people, they love to experience and get to know all the traditional stuff.
Different.
Europol, Lincoln Road, come. We're here.
Sklep, very good. No jak najlepiej.
Everybody very good.
Everybody.
One happy customer at the deli counter. I ask him what he likes to buy here.
Pod ręką.
Oh, cheese! Ah,
White
like
cheese.
white cheese. Quite sour, quite creamy.
No,
Yeah,
no,
with
pani
sugar.
powiem on speak English.
So if I'd never come into a Polski Sklep before,
Yeah.
and I wanted to try some real Polish food, what would you recommend to me?
Really Polish food. So I recommend you some ready food.
Ready food or ready meals. What's that?
Gołąbki is like with cabbage. Inside you put meat and with the tomato sauce. Yeah, this one is, to be honest, our traditional. Yeah, gołąbki, pierogi.
As with Polski Skleps across the UK, the deli counter is full of an enticing array of sausages in shades of smoky reds and burnt pinks. Most are pre-cooked, ready to be fried and sliced into delicious dinners. What are your best sellers in the meat section?
Hot dog, parówki.
Parówka are small sausages, like hot dogs, often served hot for breakfast.
Sausage, cabanos.
Cabanos are the long, thin, smoky sausages that I associate with Polski Skleps.
Smoked with cheese. It's like podwawelska, with
The podwawelska is a
slices or
speciality
onion
of butchers
or
from Krakow.
barbecue.
It's a smoked sausage made from cured pork, finely ground
Make
with
it
spices.
onion. We fry with onion and oil.
So this place feels like more than a shop, it's a community.
Yeah,
Yes.
as well. But when you work in shop, you must have a good relationship with customer, with people. You must know how talking.
As we're getting ready to leave, Maria hands us some fresh cake to go on the road with.
Oh, is that cake? Yes.
I have to say, this experience was the opposite of intimidating, and their business seems to be thriving within the local community. It's clear how much their customers enjoy spending time there, and it took me back to when I lived nearby. It was heartening to see the enduring presence of a vibrant Polish community. I wanted to understand a little more about the history of Polish people settling in the UK, in places like Peterborough, and how far back it goes. So I spoke to Dr. Kathy Burrell, Professor of Migration Geographies at the University of Liverpool, who's been researching Polish migration for over 20 years.
Quite a lot of people came at least early 20th century, but if we're thinking more substantial numbers, it was that immediate post-war period. People were coming as refugees from the Second World War. So that would probably be the first sort of significant migration into the country where other people might really notice a Polish presence. There'd been Polish people much earlier in Scotland particularly, but in terms of the UK as a whole, I think a more substantial community is coming in after the Second World War.
What kind of food culture were they bringing?
I think the food that people talked about particularly were things like the poppy seed cakes or the sausages, and people would always talk about bread, chleb, how they hated it, British bread, how it just had no flavour, it was like sponge, and Polish bread was felt to be healthier, more substantial, more tasty. So, yeah, that was an important one.
My sister-in-law's Polish, and she pretty much said exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
What about the Polski Sklep? When did we see the first Polski Sklep in the UK, the Polish shop?
Well, I think this is really interesting because one of the most obvious visible presence of the Polish population has been the increase in Polish shops, or the start of more Polish shops. Food's obviously just so important for identity and home. You can go back to after the Second World War, and there were shops here then, but they were probably more like sort of delicatessens. By the time we get to 2004 and a few years after that, the situation has changed. We've got bigger shops, we've got more of them, stocking the brands. The world's changed. You can import things more easily at that point.
Poland joined the EU in 2004. I was living in Peterborough in 2009, 5 years after Poland had joined the European Union. Since then, the Polish population in the UK has grown significantly. Today, Poles represent the largest non-British nationality in the UK, and Polish is the next most spoken language after English and Welsh. I wondered whereabouts in the UK Polish people had settled.
That's one of the really interesting things because it's very widespread geographically, and it's to do with work, it's to do with what's available. So in East Anglia it would be the agricultural kind of work or the factory work as a knock-on. I always thought it was really interesting how you can look at the sort of connection between the low-cost air flights and the airports. Because suddenly you have sort of Leeds Bradford Airport, you can fly to different places in Poland and elsewhere. So you start to see it really does become quite a widespread migration. In a way, I think it's probably the first time we've seen a new migration come in that is so well dispersed.
I wanted to know how other Polish food businesses are faring in the city. So for lunch, we head to another part of town. I'm in Netherton in Peterborough, and I've come to a precinct in the middle of a housing estate. So there's a cluster of shops here, quite a small cluster. There's a fish and chip shop, a pharmacy, a corner shop, and a Polish restaurant. It's called Pierogarnia, and I've come here to speak with the owner.
Well, my name is Ivan,
Yeah.
and I'm the owner of the Polish-Ukrainian restaurant cafe in Peterborough.
We just had a fantastic lunch. The borscht was absolutely delicious. It's so good. And we're just working our way through some delicious pierogies at the minute. It's quite rare to have Polish restaurants, I think, generally in the UK. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right. But I think now a lot more Polish restaurants than it was, let's say, when I arrived here 25, 26 years ago. A lot of Polish people went back home after Brexit, but still it's a massive community lives in the UK.
And And I've noticed, so your mum's in the kitchen. Was that your sister earlier who we ordered? So it's a family affair.
It's a proper family-run business.
That must be so nice working with your family.
It is absolutely lovely.
So, if you were to recommend a dish that someone could make at home and they could get all their ingredients from the Polski Sklep, what dish do you think you'd recommend?
I would say the easiest one is the soup, the beetroot soup, borscht. Because you can buy your meat and cabbage, beetroot, carrots from Polish shop or from a local supermarket.
And it's also such a wow soup, so that deep blood red, like it looks fantastic. I think it'd be quite good for you as well. That amount of beetroot has got to be good for the skin.
Yeah.
I used to live in Peterborough when I was 21. I lived here for a year. I used to live in Dogsthorpe.
Oh yeah.
So we were exploring my old ends. It's been lovely to come back. I mean, how have you found Peterborough has changed in that time? Have you seen any changes with the Polski Sklep?
When I came over here, like I said, 26 years ago, it was the only Polish shop or Polish sklep. There was a tiny, tiny one. It was next to the market, as far as I remember, but it was literally 2 by 2 square meters. But now you've got at least, I would say, 6 to 10 massive shops. Actually, I had a friend visiting from Warsaw not long ago, and they said the amount of actually ingredients, fresh ingredients, much better here in the Europol than they could find in some of the shops in Warsaw. You know, so that's very good.
We're leaving Peterborough back to my home turf of East London. I'm keen to taste some of the very best things that the Polski Sklep has to offer.
So we've got things like nettle and cherry, nettle and pear, dzika róża z imbirem, which is rosehip with ginger, owoc głogu, which is hawthorn, biała morwa, white mulberry.
The tea aisle.
I'm Dr. Kasia Tomaszewicz. I am a historian and a second-generation Pole and a big Polish herbal tea drinker.
Kasia is browsing the teas in Delight Valinka in Walthamstow, London.
So I'm going to pick up a few for Jaega to try. I think she has to try the nettle and cherry. I think we also definitely need to get a mint with apple. We're also going to do a lipa, a linden. And I'm going to pick up a horsetail as well, just because it's an interesting one. It's a good one. So I guess the first thing to say is that I am absolutely no specialist in this. I do not have training in herbal tea, but very few Poles do. It's just something which is handed down. So all of the herbal tea that I come across, that I drink, is a result of my family telling me about it being in the cupboards, always in the cupboards, and also walking through Polish supermarkets.
Kasia gets chatting to manager Aneta at the till.
I'm always drinking lipa because it's so good for your lungs.
Yes. Yeah.
So good, but also good for anxiety.
Yeah, of course.
It's amazing.
Yeah, with the honey is the best.
Oh, with the honey, it's so good.
So we have different types of the honey as well. So here is just the honey. So.
Yeah, in the UK it's just straight honey. In Poland there's so many different types, and every time you come into a Polish shop, there's always like a wall of different types of honey.
Of we know this, but the British people, I think, don't know this.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be $9.83.
Like, look how cheap it is. That's like, what, 5 boxes of tea and 2 drinks? Okay. Hi, lovely to meet you, Kasia.
Welcome to my home.
Oh my God, thank you.
And I hear you bought some tea.
Yeah, we've got 5, so we're going to need 5 cups.
Oh, wonderful smells.
Yeah, it's great,
Absolutely
isn't it?
beautiful.
Yeah.
I know nothing about Polish tea, so please educate me. Okay, I'll put the kettle on.
So the first one we're going to try is the mint tea with apple. And like I said, the mint is just very good at cooling you down. It's very good for digestion. The apple, I think it's just to add a little bit of extra flavour. When you go into Polish shops, there are like mint with like mango, and they get playful with the flavours. So I think that this is a classic.
It's beautiful. So your family are from Poland?
Yeah, so my mum was born in the UK. Her parents came over after the Second World War. My grandfather fought in the Polish Free Army, so they settled in the UK after the Second World War, mainly because the politics of Poland had changed so much. So the encroaching Iron Curtain meant that there was communism in Poland and they didn't want to go back to communism. So they settled in the UK. And because of what my grandfather did during the war, he was part of the army, Polish Free Army that was actually under the control of Britain, he ended up settling in the UK. So that's how my mum ended up in the UK. My dad was different. He came over in the 1980s. His family stayed in Poland. He came over in the 1980s during martial law, when martial law was declared. And brought over still quite a lot of his customs, his culture, mainly also around things like herbal teas. After the war specifically, there were very few medicines that were widely available. It was hard to get your hands on medicines, especially, you know, in that kind of post-1945 period, because Poland had basically been completely flattened. So it was kind of on the impetus of the family, when you have very few resources, very few availability for medicines, that you would go out into the fields, into the forests, and you would pick, you would forage. And there was this kind of almost like bartering system where those in the local community that could go out and spend their day foraging rather than working, for example, would go out. So the grandmas, the babchas, would go out with the little kids when they were looking after them and go scouring in the fields for, you know, various different herbs and things like mint and nettles, for example. They kind of aided your pantry, right? So you could eat things like nettles, but you could also brew them, and they were amazing for your blood. And things like a skrzyp, which I'm going to get you to drink in a second, is amazing for things like your kidneys, especially for a generation and a whole society that had been so traumatized by warfare. So it really was kind of supplementary to that. And it's interesting now because there's a bit of a generational divide in Poland, where there are still the generation that grew up foraging, that grew up relying on these herbs. And still, if you would ask my dad, he would say, oh, the Polish herbal teas you get, yeah, they're very good in the shop, but the best is always to go and forage yourself for them. Yeah.
Now, this is one I would not recognise. So
yeah. I'm looking forward to your pronunciation.
Scroops.
Very good.
What is it?
It's skrzyp. It's really hard to say. I think
we have similar sounds.
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why the Polish shop can be so intimidating, because there's so many R's and Z's and letters. You know, it's very...
The RZ is quite the combination.
Yeah, it really is. As someone who has an RZ in my first name, the length of my name, Katarzyna, I tell you, I was about 9 years old when I learned how to spell it. It was just...
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't it?
The flavours are not particularly strong in either direction, but it's just quite calming, relaxing, and also almost like musty herbaceous.
Yes.
But very
subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
What about your own family's relationship with the Polski Sklep?
Yeah, it's interesting. So my dad... his parents ran a shop just outside of Warsaw during the Second World War, and having something like a shop was just the difference between, you know, life and death, really. Really, really hard times during the Second World War. And they still kept that shop, they still got that shop. So it became this kind of way that the family survived. My dad was like really interested in produce. Again, if you're connected to produce during a time of war, during a time of scarcity, it makes you a really important person, right? Knowing how food works, how to secure food, how to source food. So when he came over to the UK in the 1980s, he was working in various kind of like meat processing plants and factories, mainly kind of like smoking meats, making sausages. But his dream was to have his own shop. So in the late 90s, he opened a deli in Ealing. But it was just too early before the 2004 migration of Poles to the UK. So it didn't work, it didn't survive, because there was quite a small Polish population before 2004, still established communities, but relatively small. And then after 2004, just the numbers of Polish people just increased so much. So I remember going to Polish shops with my mum as a kid, and they'd always be like connected to social spaces, so often churches. So the shop that we went to was connected to our church. So you'd go to church, and then you'd go downstairs into the basement, and there's like this little, this little cupboard almost, like this little room that's got like, you know, all of these kind of the Polish delicacies. And I always remember that it always had this kind of like same smell that was like a mix of church incense, wood paneling, and like smoked meats that you would get in Polish shops. A really peculiar smell. I think I could, if I smelt that smell right now, I'd be like right back there, you know, right back in that space. It's also had a, connected to the shop was like a little like bar. And you'd go into the shop, and then you'd have, you know, you'd walk through the little bar area, and there's all these like old Polish like nan and granddads like having a little shot of vodka after the church service. Absolutely amazing. Or like a little beer and like eating herring and bread. It was like a very evocative space, I guess. And it's not really a space that exists anymore. Not in the same way that it did, because after 2004 there was such an influx of Polish people that our church, for example, stopped having the shop, because you didn't need the shop because there were shops on every high street, and you didn't really need the social space because there were other social spaces, and actually they needed the space for people going to their Catholic church services. So this little weird area that had been carved out during my childhood, where there are all these like aging Poles, and they're singing songs and they're talking about life in the post-war period, it kind of transforms and it kind of disappears and it re-emerges in different places, right? So in like high street Polski Skleps and different kind of social clubs and areas, and on Radio Polska, so on like radio, Polish radio that's in London. So, you know, there is all of this kind of like changing, the way that the culture has expanded and contracted and changed is really fascinating.
What's the next one?
Nettle with cherry, so pokrzywa z wiśnią, and it's got a really, I mean, all herbal tea kind of tastes like varying flavours of grass. But this one is really good. This one's one of my favourites. And nettle is really good for just getting rid of toxins in your body.
That cherry on the nose is so dominant, but almost like cherry pie cherry.
Yeah.
It's so delicious.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual in a tea. I mean, I recognise the flavours.
Yeah.
But not hot in a tea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. So if we had just straight up nettle, nettle is quite subtle, but it's actually quite sweet, I think, as well. I think the cherry really enhances that sweetness of the nettle.
There's an underlying general, like quite pleasant grassiness underneath it all, that's really holding it together. It's very, very nice. And I would just never choose that. I would never choose a nettle in cherry tea.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is that you wouldn't know to choose it. So in the UK, in UK supermarkets, you go into the kind of tea aisle and it's dominated by English breakfast and Earl Grey, and then there's a little section which is sleepy nighttime tea, really expensive. But in Polish shops, this is just so cheap. You know, they cost like £1.50 or something.
This is £1.50?
Yeah, exactly. And I think they just don't need to do the advertising around it, because you don't need to convince Polish people to drink this. You don't have to say, drink this, it's an alternative, it's a caffeine-free alternative. Poles are like, yeah, we know, because we used to go and pick this with our grandmothers. This is so embedded in our culture. You know, if you've got a bit of a cough, you know that you would drink Lipa. If you're feeling like you have eaten too much, you know that you drink fennel or mint tea. This is just such a staple in our culture.
And what I love about the packets is they're branded so nicely that you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I knew that was cherry and nettle just by the pictures.
Yeah. It's not trying to hoodwink you into what's actually in the packet, right?
So if you've never tried it before, you can go and just have a look at the pictures and you'll figure it out.
It definitely helps with an English audience. And I think one of the things is when you go into a Polish shop, it's just like you're overwhelmed by choice. And sometimes there aren't translations, so you go like, what am I doing here? What do I get? But you know, if you go to the tea aisle, you can find something that will catch your eye. And I used to just go in and just go, I wonder which one I'm going to try today. And I'd take them home and I'd be like to my dad, oh, like, what's this for? And he's like, why have you bought tea for like heart problems, like heart arrhythmia? Yeah. Why have you got that? And I was like, I don't know, I just really like the flower on the front. Yeah. And he was like, anyway, I'll be taking that.
What does the Polski Sklep feel like now?
We know that the numbers of Poles in the UK has decreased. I think after 2016 and Brexit, certainly I think it was a more attractive proposition to move back to Poland, for example. So I think There are still quite a few Polish shops, but they've evolved quite a lot. So now they kind of do pan-Slavic foods, I think, a little bit more. So there's kind of a wider appeal to Lithuanian and Latvian and Estonian foods, for example. So I think the Polish shop as a kind of loud and proud Polish shops, and I think they're increasingly closing or kind of changing the way that they look so that they seem more kind of just like high street supermarket kind of shops that specialised in Eastern European cuisine.
That was definitely our experience in Peterborough, the kind of Eastern European shop experience rather than a Polski Sklep.
It doesn't surprise me, actually. Again, like I was saying, the communities contract and expand in all different ways. But I do think, I wonder if maybe the kind of the Polishness of the Polish shop is kind of changing and evolving. It's becoming this kind of more pan-European space.
And how do you feel about that?
I think that cultures change, they ebb and flow, and the Polish shop will appear when you need it most. When you need it, you'll be able to find one. That's what I hope anyway.
I mean, these people are entrepreneurs and, they diversify.
Dr. Kathy Burrell.
They have to diversify. I think these shops have been under a lot of pressure with the cost of living, with import changes after Brexit. I mean, COVID, all these things will have had a huge impact. Rents might be going up and they will reflect the population. But they've survived a lot already. They've survived Brexit, they've survived COVID. These shops, these entrepreneurs are adaptable, and other shopkeepers are stocking Polish items, which is competition, but it's also, there's a more general audience out there who are welcoming Polish food as well. So we're a non-Polish household, but we eat Łowicz jam, Lay's crisps, Wedel chocolate. That these are now staples for us.
I have one final trip to make to a Polski Sklep. This time, it's to my closest one in Stoke Newington, where I'm meeting Zuzak, author of 4 cookbooks about East European cuisine and culture.
Zuza, lovely to meet you.
And you're going to make me some pierogi.
Yeah, absolutely, I'd love to.
And so, we're outside of a Polish shop. I mean, what ingredients do you need?
Well, the main one is twaróg.
Okay,
because we need that for both our fillings.
Okay, come on, show me. Pierogi are traditional Polish dumplings, which are often stuffed with cheese, potatoes, sauerkraut, or sweet fillings. Zuza just has to pick up a few final ingredients for us. This shop is interesting because we've been to a lot of shops that are Polish shops turned European, Eastern European shops. This is a Polish shop.
Yes, I can't see anything that's not Polish in here. You can even see that cebularze, which are like, which is bread filled with like onion. It's very popular in Lublin, the Lublin area, which actually one of our pierogi recipes is from.
Walk me through what we need for our pierogi.
So we're going to need some flour, and usually in the Polish shop, what's quite good is that some flours say this is a specific flour that's good for pierogi, so we're going to try and find that one. You can see how many flour varieties there are. There's a lot. You have Poznańska from Poznań, Wrocławska from Wrocław.
Isn't a place?
Yes, these are places.
So they have their
towns, their own type of flour.
On the flour.
Oh. Yeah, so you have all these different ones. But at the bottom, actually, you can see it says perfect for in English. Does it say pierogi there?
Dumplings, pizza sauce.
There you go, dumplings. So that will be great.
Okay, that's very helpfully written in English.
So that's a Poznańska one.
Okay, that means
from
flour.
Poznań.
Oh, from Poznań. So
Mąka.
the word for flour.
Mąka is flour.
Mąka. Mąka, people. Mąka. So you need to look out for. There you go.
Lovely. And we're going to need twaróg, which is sort of like white curd cheese, which is often used as a filling. And I want to do one sweet, one savoury filling, and we need twaróg for both of them.
So it's spelled Twarog.
That's right. I mean, sometimes it is spelt with a V in different East European shops, but in Polish, the V is a W.
Okay, so we've got butter, we've got full-fat cheese,
Twaróg.
curd cheese, yep.
Yes. We're going to need kasza gryczana, which is roasted buckwheat groats. But kasha means all kinds of grains, so we need this specific one, which is dark brown.
Okay, let's find it.
So that will be all the grains. Oh, I
Where
can
the
see all the kasha in there. So you can see there's a whole row of different kashas.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's millet, barley. We need the buckwheat one, the really dark one.
So quite a range of just general grains.
Yes, and actually...
Cereals, yeah.
Yeah, and we use, like, in Poland, a wide range of cereals. We make porridge out of different cereals, like sort of milky soups and things like that for breakfast. And I think it's quite good. I'm sort of going back to that as much as I can now because I'm looking into gut health a lot. And actually, cereals and wheats, different whole wheats, are really good for that.
And that's one of the major differences, I suppose, between Polish and British cuisine. We don't eat that much in terms of a range of different cereals.
Yeah, I think the cereals, and I would say the fish. We eat a wide range of fish as well in Poland.
One thing that caught my eye near the deli counter were these 2 wooden barrels with spoons and bags to help yourself to its contents.
Ogórki and kapusta. So here we have sauerkraut, and they're like in these wooden barrels. So you can get it in packets, but these are probably their own homemade ones. Ogórki are the gherkins, and they're like, more homemade, because sometimes the ones in packets have kind of like, you know, preservatives or something in there, but I guess.
So some home pickling.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Is that everything we need?
I think that's everything we need, yeah. Nawet nie wiedziałam, że to tak, że nawet w Londynie takie podroby.
We've arrived back at my house and we're going to make some pierogies.
Yay! Looking forward to it. There are lots of different types of pierogi dough, but we're just going to make a really simple, like probably the oldest traditional pierogi dough today, and then we'll do 3 different fillings.
The oldest pierogi dough recipe is very simple. Just flour, ideally from your local Polski Sklep, oil, salt and hot water.
Thank you. I'm bringing it all together now. Could you put a tiny bit of oil in there as well?
It's simple dough, isn't it?
It's very simple. You know, people are always surprised at how simple pierogi dough is and how cheap. You know, I always think it's great if you're, you know, don't have lots of money and have lots of leftovers and you just want to use them up. It's a fantastic way. You know, it's peasant food.
So you're kneading the dough.
Yeah, I'm bringing it all together. New jug of water, and it's all coming together really nicely now.
And she has 3 fillings planned for us.
I'm going to do the most popular filling the world over. It's called Ruskie, but now people tend to call it Ukrainian.
The filling is caramelised onion, tvarog, white curd cheese and potato. That's it.
People tend to call it Ukrainian because it came from those parts, but actually I don't think this filling is very well known in Russia or Ukraine. I think it came from the Poles that were in that part of Ukraine a very long time ago, from what I understand. I think it's quite a Polish filling, but people make it the world over. Polonia make it all over the world. When I first moved to Leicester, the Polonia used to, I think there was only one little Polish shop and there wasn't that much in there. And people often used to substitute twaróg for cheddar cheese, which makes it taste a bit like, I don't know, Cornish pasty or something, but it's still very nice. And in Poland, sometimes they substitute the twaróg, for example, for smoked twaróg, which gives it a completely different flavour as well. So there's a lot of different ways of doing these.
You're Polish. Did you grow up in Poland or did you grow up here or?
So I was in Poland until I was about 7.5, and then I moved to England. My dad won a scholarship for his English language. He was a doctor, a psychiatrist. So we moved over. I thought we were just moving for a year actually, and we moved to Nottingham, where you're from.
So why did your family choose Nottingham?
I don't think I actually chose it. I think that was just the opportunity that arose. And after about a year, we actually moved to Leicester. And then when I was 18, I moved to London, and I stayed there until fairly recently.
And how have you found, just generally, sourcing Polish ingredients in the UK?
In Leicester, there was a big Polish community, so we always had one Polish shop, but they couldn't always get everything, you know, everything wasn't always available. Now, everything seems to have changed. I think there's just such a big Polish community. Even the supermarkets have upped their game, I've noticed. But But, I mean, I would maybe get a few Polish things from the supermarket, but generally I prefer going to a Polish shop.
Tell me about some of your memories of your family's cooking in Poland before you moved to the UK.
So before we moved, my parents were working full time, so my grandmas were sort of bringing me up. I was spending a lot of time with them anyway. They were a big part of my childcare. They both had tiny kitchens. One of my grandmas, my mum's mum, was actually a professional cook, and she would also cook for the whole extended family. So we were always in the kitchen, really. Even though it was tiny, we were always squeezed in there, making things like pierogi together. And I remember I couldn't quite stick them, because you have to pinch them quite hard, and like little fingers can't quite press. So she would go over all the pierogi with me to seal them properly. And then with my other grandma, her kitchen was a little bit bigger, but it didn't really have a window. It was in this old apartment blocks, and it was like right in the middle. You could run around the whole apartment. Also, it just had a tiny little window right at the top of a door, and that was the only natural light coming in. So it was like a sort of cocoon of a kitchen. And she taught me how to make kopitka there, which are kind of these, like the Polish gnocchi. They're made from potatoes. So I'd have these big snakes in front of me, and I'd get to cut them into little bite-sized pieces. And those were sort of my first childhood memories. So dumplings are very dear to me, especially in my mum's kitchen, because she had such a big family. My mum has 3 brothers. We'd always be cooking because there was always some kind of celebration coming up. So in Poland, you have birthdays, you have name days. And if you have, say, 4 children and lots of grandchildren, you'll be celebrating everyone's birthday, everyone's name day, as well as the kind of normal, holidays and festivities. So you are always cooking for some kind of event, and pierogi would often be part of the event actually, but you'd always start off with zakąski or przekąski on a table. So if you have most East European countries have this, where you have a sort of a meze table laid out, where you have things like herrings and salad, vegetable salad, and all kinds of different salads really, white bread and rye bread, and then once you're there sort of having all the little bits and pieces, then the warm dishes come out. It's the same at a wedding as well. There's always food there, and sometimes Polish weddings might last up to 3 days or something, and there's always tables full of food, and then more dishes coming out, the warm dishes. So then you might get some soup, and then you might get some dumplings, and it just kind of carries on like that indefinitely.
My brother recently got married in Poland, so I went to a Polish wedding.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, lasted 2 days.
Oh, amazing.
There was the food. The food was incredible, and it just kept coming. Midnight meats.
Yes.
There was 3 a.m. soups. It just kept coming.
The food doesn't stop, because you have to drink and eat at the same time. You're not just drinking, you have to keep eating and dancing, and you just, And the
attitude to drinking vodka compared to the UK was I found so interesting. So it's obviously shot based, isn't it? But just comparatively, you would think, if it's so shot based, I'm going to end up drinking too much, etc. It's not like that at all. It's you drink, you sit, you eat, you chat, and then you drink a little bit more, a bit later. But it's very like this relaxed attitude. You have some pickles, you have some sausage, you have some more meat. It's just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I like that relaxed attitude actually. It's a lot less kind of hectic and intense. It's not about getting drunk. It's about the journey, it's about being with people. If everyone's doing a shot, you don't have to do a full shot. I often just do a sip, when everyone's doing a shot, if I don't feel like doing a whole one. No one's sort of there going down it. Or anything like that. It's a lot more relaxed, I find.
Zuza recommends kneading for about 5 minutes. We're now ready to roll the dough out, fill them and pinch them closed.
I'm cutting the circle shapes out with a glass. You can use a cutter, but I always prefer a glass, to be honest. That's just the way I'm used to doing it.
So that is kind of like a half moon shape.
There we go. Yeah,
now, the second filling is toasted buckwheat groats, kasha, twaróg cheese and sugar. And the final one is fresh morello cherries for sweet filling.
And I'm putting a teaspoon of filling in the middle. I'm actually stretching the dough out a little bit as well. And then sealing it. I always start here at the top and then work down, and you have to just really press your fingers down and make sure there are no gap.
Oh, I'm quite proud of that. Look at that.
Beautiful. There you go. That's it.
They're not quite as good as yours, but...
No, it's lovely. That's a typical pierog. That's, you know, a classic pierog. I'll give you another one so we can keep going.
Then with a pan of boiling water on the hob, you pop them in until they rise to the top.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We're frantically trying to finish everything before my 18-month-old Teddy arrives home.
Little bit. You just give them 1 more minute and you take them out. And you can eat them like that with butter, but I always like to fry them as well.
Teddy, we're cooking! And he's back. Cooking. Come on, Teddy bear!
Cooking!
Teddy bear, we're cooking! Hi!
Cooking!
Hi!
You being shy, are you?
Teddy, do you want some pierogies?
Sure he does.
From school, Teddy? Just in time for our pierogies. Teddy, are you ready to try your first pierogi?
Right, so that is a tvarog, crispy onions and some potatoes. And that's the savoury ones we have there.
Excellent. So let's go with that first. There you go, Teddy.
You might want some sour cream with them, but I don't know.
Oh! Is that nice? Is that nice, Teddy? We'll see if he goes in for a second bite. He's not spitting it out. Yeah, so that's and let us try it.
I'm just going to eat with my hands like Teddy.
Yeah, he's gone in for a second bite. He likes it.
Great.
That is so delicious. That kind of earthy, creamy, sweet. Love it.
I'm so glad you like it.
Oh yeah, you want more of that one, Teddy? Do you like that one? Would you like another one? Yes. Yes, we're nodding frantically. Okay, so you want another one of that one?